to the paper, Alexander? Carson, y'all win your tennis match? You win your tennis match? Did you have a match over the weekend? Yeah. Oh, yes. Even are the other three coming? Yeah. They what?
And then every time I oh, sorry, you're fine. So that's why I didn't do much this weekend.
We got text from 2 or 3 people saying they were live streaming. One said they had a cold and they didn't feel good. My sinuses bothered me. I think my nose ran last night more than my refrigerator ran. So that's a lot.
You go chase it?
No, not even the refrigerator. Yeah. Okay, Cengage. How are you, Alexander, on Cengage?
Finished chapter 13, started on 14.
Good. 13? What did you do? 97?
98.
98? I know there was one problem on there that Kelly and Jessica had trouble with. It would not take 3 kind of answer.
Yeah, the same problem.
Same thing. I won't count that against you all, because we worked in class and there's no other way to work it and so forth. Even we worked that same problem. I don't think it make a difference. That was a chapter on stock. Now we practiced journal entries for stock, and we practiced splitting dividends between common and preferred. We practiced buying back stock. That was treasury stock, reissuing it, and we looked at a retained earnings statement. We did not practice the stockholders' equity section enough. Now next week is, I guess, midterm ends when next week.
I thought last the week after. It might be after. It's the 4th through the 8th. You guys count our first test.
Wait now, midterm is the 4th of April?
That's next week. Yeah.
It's next week.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and then the week after that is spring break.
Yeah. There's a lot in these 2 chapters, so we've got today and Thursday and Tuesday on chapter 14 and review some in chapter 13. We do need to have a test next Thursday. So we'll go ahead and plan on it, and that'd be your midterm. Somebody might can pull up your grade, so we might pull it down, but we need to have one. Now, if we cover 10 chapters this semester and 4 tests, that leaves 6 chapters and 2 tests. That means 3 chapters per test after this next test. But the tests do get easier after this second test. Tests 3 and 4 are somewhat easier than tests 1 and 2, especially 2. Excuse me. The corporations finance with stock and bonds, and we've already looked at earnings per share, EPS. But these first PowerPoints, which I looked at some of them with you last week, it's just showing the difference. Here we're going to finance with bonds, and here we're going to finance with some preferred stock, and what have you, and here common. But here you had all common. All right, Here you have half common. Here you only have 1/4 common. And sure, there'd be more earnings per share. If you issue bonds, you're going to take off interest as an expense. Dividends, you do not. So that's one thing to keep in mind. This book will use 40% tax rate. It used to be close to that for corporations. Now it's down to 21. Well, that's just financing plans. I won't hold you too responsible for it. I want to get straight to bonds. I talked to you about the face of a bond. Now we're talking about corporate bonds. We're not talking about government bonds. Series E, Series H, what have you. You used to be able to buy a $75 bond, keep it 5 years, it's worth $100. So forth. But those things change with interest rates. Now, bonds usually pay interest semi-annual. Not quarterly, but semi-annual. In this book, it'll be semi-annual that we will pay interest. All right. Bonds, the face is 1,000, but we can sell them for less or more. Now, I told you if a bond was quoted at 98, what will that bond sell for? 980. If a bond was quoted for 105, that bond would sell for what? All right, discount, premium. And you'll get familiar with discount and premium. All right, now corporate bonds may be safe, and there are books like Moody's or Standard & Poor. You can get them and look at the ratings for General Motors bonds. If they got a AAA rating, they're excellent. You won't lose. Even a triple B. If you get down to a triple D rated bond, that's some company that's got their operation probably in Iraq, and you could lose all that investment. So if you ever invest in bonds, make sure they're AAA, AA, single A, triple B, double B, no less than a single B. Don't go down to C and D bonds. They pay high rate, but they may default. You lose it all. Now we deal mostly with term bonds. There is such a thing as serial bonds. Some of them come due every 3 years, every 5. We don't do much with those. And we can exchange bonds for stock. That's okay. We'll have that. And we may have to redeem bonds. Now, a bond is like a note. All right. And I told you before, guys, the bond has a maturity date. You guys don't. All right. You ladies, you mature fast. Us guys don't. All right. There's an interest rate on the bond. Then there's a market rate. Now, if the interest rate and the market rate match, everything's nice. It's when they don't match that we have a discount or a premium. The rate you pay on a bond, maybe you got $100,000 worth of bonds. They pay 8% interest, and they're 10 years. How much interest do you pay every 6 months? How much interest do you pay every 6 months? How much?
4.
All right, 4. All right. Now you can multiply by 8%, put 6 months over 12 if you want to, or just multiply by 4%. If you're paying 8% annual, then it's 4% semi-annual. All right. When these two don't equal, then we've got to find the effective rate of interest. And as I tell you, we create a discount or a premium if you sell the bonds More than 1,000, it's a premium. Less, it's a discount. All right, we sold these bonds at 98 for 980. Sell these bonds at 1,090 because they were quoted at 109. At the face of amount of a bond, contract interest rate, 5 years, if the market rate's the same. Now, if a corporation goes to trouble to get bonds set up and they want to pay 8%, they'd like to keep it at 8% for the life of the bond. But the market changes. You know, maybe interest rates go down to 6%. You're paying 2% too much. You can sell them for a premium. You can't go out, it's so expensive to issue bonds, you can't go out and just reissue anytime you want to. All right, likewise, if the interest rate goes up, you were paying 8 and the interest rate goes up to 10, you're not getting enough on your bonds. You're not getting enough at all. You'd have to sell these at a discount, even to sell them. But a simple, straight entry is debit cash and credit bonds payable. That's if the market rate and the contract rate equal. We just issue them at face. And we pay interest every 6 months. And then we buy back the bonds. We debit bonds payable, credit cash when we buy them back. Run through those same type of entries again. 1, 2, 3. Simple entries on bonds. Now that's as simple as it gets right there. Okay. All right, we may have to issue bonds at a discount. All right. Now here they gave us the amounts. Assume the bonds sell for 96,406. I mean, they were quoted at 96.406. It's $100,000 worth of bonds. You got to subtract and get the discount. So debit cash, credit discount. Debit discount, credit bonds payable. A discount's like an expense. And it does add more expense to your bond. Now, when we pay interest on this bond, we have to debit interest expense and credit some of that discount, or debit interest expense and credit discount and debit credit cash. Let's go back to that bond real quick. Now, how many years are these bonds for? Does it say? How many years are these bonds for? Do you see that somewhere, Margo?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not landing on it for some reason.
It's just not up on there.
All right. So divide 5. Well, multiply 5 by 2. That's how many semi-annual periods are in those bonds, right? Now divide that discount by 10, 35.94. Divide that discount by 10. All right. Let's see if we've got.
Yeah, I think that's it right there.
It is 5 years, and it is $359.40, isn't it? But now this type of discount is called amortizing that discount by that method. We are amortizing by the straight line method. This is the easiest method. There's another method, it's going to be harder. It's unlocked.
Okay. So
Go ahead.
helping, we were helping the needed
Helping what?
people. Helping
There is
the
a
community.
basic sign, there's some fundraising.
Well, whatever excuse you got, it's okay. The best one I had over the years is I had a student to miss 2 days 1 week out of Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes. And their excuse was they had to stay home and dog sit. So
Don't bring the dog.
that was an honest excuse. They had to stay home and dog sit and tear up something, nobody's there, whatever. Anyway, tied up, put it in the cage, do something. How about Millie? Is she gonna make it today?
Yeah, she just went to bed.
Okay. All right. Now we're gonna try another method. You have to look at this method. Now look at the journal entry for this, folks. We debit interest expense. Now we only pay out cash. We pay out cash 6,000 a month, every 6 months. Now 12% interest a year is 6% for 6 months, right? So 6% of 100,000 is $6,000. But a discount makes your interest expense higher. A discount's like an expense, it makes it higher. So we'll do that for 10 times and we'll get rid of that discount. Okay. So remember, a discount adds on to your real interest expense. Now reverse, these two added together is your real interest expense. Now reverse of that will be a premium. All right, let's look at this one. 1,000,000, 6%, 5-year bonds. All right. And what's half of 6%? Sad thing about it, you probably believe that, Margot. I know. All right, I'm kidding you. What is half of 6%? 3. So what's 3 times 1,000,000? We know it's 30,000. All right. Now we want to sell these bonds. Let's see. On these bonds, we know where we get to 30,000. Now the discount. Somebody subtract this from 1,000,000. Subtract 36,420 from 1,000,000. What does that give me? 63 what?
580.
Now that is the discount, and that's over 10 periods. 5 years is 10 periods. So we divide that by 10, and what do you get? 6,358. Now that's where that figure came from. Okay. That's discounting a bond with all the entries by the straight line method. Bonds issued at a premium. All right. $100,000, 12%. That'll be 6% every 6 months. 5 years, that'll be 10 periods. But now the market rate of interest is 11%. They don't match. So our bonds are selling at 12%. Okay? Let's say we're Ford Motor Company. All right. Kelly, did you say you bought an Edge? So now you can live on the edge. Okay. But anyhow, Ford Motor Company has bonds at 12%. But the market rate has went down. General Motors and Chrysler are selling theirs for 11% and doing okay. So if we're paying more interest, if Ford is paying more interest than General Motors or Chrysler, then they can sell those bonds at a premium. All right, they'll sell these more than 100,000. Now, these rates don't match. Now, those tables I quickly showed you last Thursday. We could go to those tables and calculate the amortization if we had to. We could calculate the price of these bonds if we need to. All right, so here's your premium. You're going to sell these bonds for 3,000. They did the calculation for you. You're going to subtract 100, and you're going to get 37.69. Now divide that 37.69, divide that by 10. Gives you how much?
376.
All right, and that's how much we're going to amortize of that premium. That premium reduces your interest expense. They left that example too. I didn't like that. But they came back to it here. Here we go. All right, here you're, where'd they get that 90 cents in there? Was it 90 cents when we divided by 10 years? Was it? I wish they'd rounded off to 377. Anyway, you're paying out $6,000 in cash. Premium is 376, so your real interest expense. Now, here you're paying out 12%, but your effective rate is 11%. You'll understand that better later. So now, if you had to pay a premium for Ford Motor Company's bonds, you're only going to get 11% effective earnings.
How'd they get to 37.69?
All right, this is Kelly's question. How did you get that? There's usually 2 or 3 ways that you'll get that. One, they just flat out give it to you. They tell you that the bond sold for 103,769, and you subtract 100 from it. That's one way. The second way, they quoted these bonds at 103.769. You had to multiply that by 1,000 to get 103,769. That's what you're selling for. And then another way, come in, stranger. All right, another way, we can go to those tables, which I'm staying away from those right now. But there's 2 or 3 ways, Kelly, to answer the question. Well, attendance getting a little bit better. 3 texts with 17 here, that's 20. So after I bragged with you all one day about having good attendance went down. So
He spoke too soon.
yeah, I bragged too soon. Well, maybe bragging on you folks works in reverse. Maybe threads and all that stuff works better. All right. Kelly, did that answer your question? All right. All right, sometime we have to pay off these bonds, and we got to call them in, and we got to redeem them. Now, if you just wait and pay them off, it's no problem. But some of these bonds are callable, and what we mean by callable, they may be 5-year bonds, but you want to call them in after 3 years. You want to call them in because interest rates have changed. And normally, if you call them in, you're going to pay a good price. It's normally above the face. If that be the case, you may have a gain or a loss. A gain is recorded if the price paid for the redemption is below the bond carrying amount. Later on, you'll see what that bond carrying amount is. It may be 100,000, it stays there. If market and contract price are the same. So a lot in this chapter to learn. We got about three periods to learn it in. All right, assume that this corporation has the following issue: 100,000, and we sold them for 104. They made this journal entry. They debit cash 104. They credit bonds payable 100, and they credit premium for 4. All right. Now, every 6 months, they pay the interest. All right. Now it says you're going to redeem. It looks like we're going to redeem not the 100,000, but just a 4. And we don't know what these actually sold for, but we had already paid some semi-annual interest and amortized some of that premium. Anyway, a fourth of 100,000 is 25, right? A fourth of that 4,000 is 1,000. That's where you get those figures. All right, so you're going to debit bonds payable and you're going to credit premium. Now, if you had to pay out 26,000 cash, there'd be no problem. But you only had to pay 24. Then that gives you a what? A gain. So we're going to have to practice on redeeming bonds, okay? Then we're going to redeem the other 75. Get rid of that premium. It has a credit balance without a debit. We're going to pay $79.5. We paid too much. So we're going to have a $1,500 loss on redeeming. Same thing works if it were a discount. All right, we're going to practice some of those things on bonds, a straight line method, in a few minutes. Kelly, when you bought your car, did you do it by payments? You finance it with Ford Credit or some local bank? All right, Ford got that credit for you?
I got it at Kohl's.
Okay. Well, Kohl's has Kohl's has Chevrolet up here, don't it?
Yeah, but it was a trade-in.
Yeah, Ramey's, they have Ford up here. They have, in Tazewell, they have Dodge. And then down my way, they have Chevrolet and GMC. But Ramey's has them all. So, all right. But if she financed through the bank, she's got an installment note. Okay. Now, a long time ago, before the Truth in Lending Act came out, in 1965, I worked at Chrysler in Detroit, one summer between college years. And I bought a new Ford Fairlane 500 for $2,500. There was no extras on it then. It might have been automatic, and that was it. Manual windows, a radio might pick up 2 stations, white wall tires, which you didn't need. That's what was on that Ford Fairlane 500. If I had it today and in good shape, it'd probably sell for $30,000. Okay, so I financed $2,000. Now, what happened? They charged me 6% interest. That was $120. I guess. Let's just look at it for a year at a time. And then I paid payments. But at that time, we didn't have the Truth in Lending. This was really around 12% interest, the way it worked out. It didn't look like much because I didn't finance much. So, Kelly, what rate did you pay about 8 or 9.
4.4.
4.4 is not bad. And what's a shame about these companies and interest rate, if you've ever got behind in a few payments, you get a bad credit rating. All right. Maybe that's once in your life. If you get a bad credit rating, you buy the same car Kelly did, you may have to pay 7% interest because you got a bad credit rating. And these people need better interest rate more than Kelly did, you see. That's the way our system works. Sometimes, if you're poor, our system keeps you poor. So you got to come out of it yourself. Okay? How many in here, you're a first generation college student? Margot, your parents didn't go to college. Back in my day, I was first generation everything. Six brothers and sisters before me were lucky to get 7th, 8th grade. So I was the first one, number 7, to graduate from high school. And the last 6 followed me to graduate from high school. And actually, I was the first one went to college. And the 6 after me got a degree or some college. Okay. But you can do what you want to do. The installment note has interest built in. All right, here we're going to borrow $24,000. The interest rate is 6%, and you're going to borrow that for 5 years. Now, if you were paying the annual rate on that, now Kelly pays monthly payments, right? But we can break it down to monthly if we needed to. All right, on that installment, we debit cash, we credit notes payable. But now when it gets time, we're going to have to learn how to construct this table. All right, in 2014, you owe 24. You paid $56.98. Now 6% of that was interest. The remainder was a decrease in principal. So now you owe trying to find out what you owe now. All right, now you owe this much, not 24. And then you carry this over here to year 5, you owe this much. You're paying this payment consistent every month, but your interest is on less of amount. Now that's calculating a true, real APR, because the Truth in Lending Act says they must tell you what the true APR is. So these automobile companies, they will maybe give you 0% interest for 5 years. Believe me, they discount that vehicle less. There's going to be some interest built in somewhere. They discount the vehicle less. Now, if you went in to pay cash for it, all right, you'll get a bigger discount. Okay? But a lot of people jump at that 0% interest. You have to do some calculations to see if that is better or not. We'll learn to calculate this table, okay? And the interest. Now, these are long-term liabilities. They go on your balance sheet. Bonds and notes, installment notes, mortgage notes. One more formula you'd have to get used to in this book. I like this as my numerator. EBIT, earnings, is the same as income before interest and taxes. All right, so this is just EBIT on the top divided by IE, interest expense. All right, now the appendix 1, I'm going to save until Thursday. This is where we calculate present value, not future value. We'll calculate present value. I gave you a little bit of insight on that last week. Now we'll be getting used to this table also. All right, I want you to take your textbook now. Let's go over to the exercises at the end of chapter 14. Okay, there's a lot of you in here now, so let me ask the same question again. How many of you are at least 75% finished with Cengage on chapter 13? At least 75. Looks like 6 or 7. All right, you should have chapter 13 all finished by this Thursday. Because we got chapter 14 to start. I want you to go down to exercise 5. Look back in your book. It's easy 3 little entries. Go down to exercise 5. Take a minute and see if you can jot those down on a scrap sheet of paper.
Season plan, we find out at 12 o'clock today, we make it 20.
Oh, you don't make a turn to the ground.
Yeah, it's over. So we hope we get like AC over.
How many games you won?
And good. So that's it. Me too.
That's smart. Go down to 5. If you don't do it, a bunch of you do. You gotta take a picture of it.
I took a picture of this.
Okay.
I have the book, it just, too, it's like the pages, I don't have a binder to put the pages in. I don't want to bring it out and use it.
give you one, and I'm not gonna throw some stuff away. Home Solution, I'm gonna get rid of some of these books here. Go here, I'll feed you.
Appreciate you.
It might not hold all your books, at least it'll hold half of it.
Right.
Okay, everybody should have that pretty well wrapped up. Does your answer look like what you see on the screen? Cash and bonds payable sold its face. Interest expense. 10% is 3.5% every 6 months. And that's 31,500. Now, from November to December is how many months? November 1 to December 31 is how many months? 2. So, and this interest is for how many months? How much is that interest for? 6 months, isn't it? So 2 over 6. Multiply this by a third. Multiply 31.5 by a third. And you'll get 10.5, right? Or you can do it the way they showed you. Take 900,000 times 7% times 2 over 12, because it's 2 months. 2 months. When I put 2 over 6, I use 6 months. Here, if you put 2 over 12, you're using 12 months here. So calculate it either way you want. But these are some introductory entries to issuing bonds. This is accrued interest, an adjusted entry that you made before. You made adjusted entry for accrued taxes, accrued salaries. All right, now I want you to try exercise 6. At least part 4. I mean part A. Exercise 6, at least part A. So you got debit cash for the amount that they say you got,
Right.
and then a discount for the difference. And credit bonds available for the total team.
You got two debits and one credit?
Yes,
Yeah.
debit cash, debit discount, that equals T. Bonds payable. All right, now look at it. Make that in, I should pay. All right, let's look at that exercise. It says issuance of the bonds. Okay, Alexander, what did you debit?
Cash or 9594415.
And then you debit what?
Discounts on bonds payable for $405,585. Credit bonds payable $10 million.
No, why couldn't everybody do that? You have 405,585.
Yeah.
All right. What's wrong with everybody having that entry? Half of you do, half of you don't. Right, Rob? All right. Now we've got to pay interest expense, first semi-annual interest payment. All right. I don't know if I can mark on this or not, but how many years are these bonds? How much?
5.
That's 10 periods. Now divide that discount of 405,585 by 10. Divide that by 10. Divide this amount by 10. All right. Now find your interest. How much is it on 10 million? How much interest do you have on 10 million? What is the rate? What rate?
7.
7? All right, a half a year would be 3.5. What's 3.5% of 10 million? Is that 35,000? Somebody work it out and see if I'm right.
I got 300.
350, okay, another zero? Yeah, because that's 10 million, not 1 million. All right? So you got how much?
350,000.
All right, your interest is gonna be 350,000. That's the cash you pay out. 350,000. But you had to divide this discount here by 10 to get 40,559. So that brought up your real interest expense. But whatever the discount is. Now they want you to make another interest payment. And it's going to be identical because it's not with effective interest method, independence, which we'll look at Thursday. These interests will be all different. Here you're going to have the same interest for 10 years, 10 periods, 5 years. All right, we're going to skip on down to number 8. Let's look at that one together. Issued the bonds for cash at their face amount, $22 million. Jessica, number 8, entry number 1. What would you debit?
You would debit your cash,
And credit?
your bonds payable.
That's all you do. Now, pay the interest on the bonds, which is 7% for 20 years. That'd be 40 periods. But what is 3.5% of 22 million? Well, 7% of 22 million divided by 2. What have you got? All right, that's a lot of interest expense. All right, so you say 770? Okay, now look at that last entry. Call the bonds issued at 102. What is 22 million times 102? 102%, 1.02. What is 22 million times 102%? How much?
22,440,000.
All right, now that's what you're calling the bonds in for. That's how much cash you're going to pay. The bonds are on your books for 22 million, so you got a loss of 440,000. I'm going over these problems because I'm going to assign you one for homework identical to them. And if you practice these today, you'll do okay with the homework. All right. Let me go ahead and give you your homework while I'm at it on these pages. You'll be doing number 7, number 9, number 11, number 14, and problem 1. That'd be homework. Now, we've practiced a lot of these things already, but you've got to practice them for them to start sinking in. All right, let's practice. Let's practice number 10. Number 10. We're going to practice these more come Thursday. I'm just going to go through this one with you. You don't have to do it. We've got a note for $85,000. Annual payments are $15,772. All right. The first payment consists of interest of $59.50 and principal at 98.22. Now, I want to show you these entries and where they get the amounts from. All right. Now, they told you all this. They told you how much they borrowed. That's easy. Okay. They told you how much the payments were each month, 15,772. And they told you how much of that was interest expense. All right. You borrowed 85,000 at 7% interest. Go ahead and multiply 85,000 times 7%, see what you get. What you get?
5,000.
5,950. All right, now subtract 98.22 from 85. Subtract 98.22 from 85. That would be the payoff on your note. That's what you're going to pay interest on next period. So multiply whatever you got there by 7%. And you will find your interest for the next period. How much you get?
$5,262.46.
Interest will start going down because your principal goes down. So your debit interest expense 5,000 what?
5,260.
All right, you know your cash will be the same, 15,772, and the difference is going to be notes payable. You pay off more every time because your interest is less. That's a note. We'll work on it. We'll work on a table that will help you better than this. All right, times interest earned. And you're going to have number 11 similar to that. Look at number 15, since you have one of these for homework also. Determine the times interest earned, the current year interest expense, income before income tax expense. All right, all we could go on there, income before tax expense, then there's your interest expense. Add those two together and see what you get. Add 310 and then add 14 to it. That's number 15. What'd you get?
300.
All right. That would be earnings before interest and taxes. They've already gave you earnings before taxes, and you're adding back interest. That gives you that EBIT I was talking about. Earnings before interest and taxes. Divide that by interest. And what is your answer? All right, you earned 24 times your interest expense for the year. By most standards, that would be excellent. But a business wants to know where they stand with that. Okay? All right, you got one of those for homework. Now, the appendix we're not going to touch yet. Not until they didn't give you a whole lot in the appendix, did they? Yeah, I'll turn back to your appendix real quick. It's after notes. So read over the appendix. Start on page 693. Read over that for Thursday. Now remember, we looked at present value. If somebody's giving you $100,000 10 years from now, what's that worth today? These bonds have to be paid back in 5 years. That's future value. These bonds, they have to be paid back in 10 years. That's future value. So if you borrow 10,000 on bonds or 10 million, you only pay back 10 million. So you know the present value of that 10 million is a lot less today. That's why we pay interest. Now, if we pay interest of 100,000 every 6 months, we're gonna take the present value of that interest. We add the two together, market rate and the contract rate are the same, then you will get the face value of the bond. So that's what we will practice Thursday. Okay, I'll let you go today. Please work on Cengage, please read the chapter, please try some homework. Does anybody remember the course key in here to get in on Moodle? Is it ACC 202 S1W maybe? Has anybody got that written down? Let's be sure, Robert needs it.
ACCT 202 S1W.
ACT, what?
ACCT,
Uh,
it's